we're looking to announce another update on our resource. Right? So 48 million pound is going to grow. So we now believe it's a project. Right? So next year once we announce a resource update, we want to start moving down the path of increasing our confidence of the resource. So going from an inferred resource to an indicated resource.
Hello and welcome to the Assay TV, where today I'm joined by Murray Hill, Managing Director and CEO of Elevate Uranium Limited. Elevate Uranium is a uranium exploration company that has significant resources in Namibia and Australia and is making new discoveries through active exploration programs. Good afternoon, Murray. Thanks for joining us today on the Assay TV. How are you?
I'm good, Sarah. Yourself?
I'm doing great. Thanks for asking. So to kick things off, could you just give us a little bit of background and overview on Elevate as a company?
So Elevate, ASX listed company, been in uranium for the last 16 years, 17 years, and only in uranium. We strongly believe in the thesis of uranium and its feed into nuclear to provide a baseload background power, right? So we're not distracted by any other commodity. We build up we went through that hibernation period where most people did during the post Fukushima, when uranium prices dropped and sitting around $18 a pound. We sort of thought, what are we going to do now? We've developed the upgrade process. Let's build a land position. So we started to build a land position in Namibia, where we had one asset over there, the Namibia Project, and then we also acquired some assets in Australia. So we're really building ourselves a solid base to work off when the uranium price started to move, as we expected it would. So that's a bit of background on us. We have now got the largest land position with nuclear fuels in Namibia. Right? We've got 48 million pound of assets in Australia, but in Namibia, we've made 4 discoveries in the last 4 years. So we're an active exploration company. We've got 3 drill rigs working flat out at the moment at the Koppies Project, which I'm sure you want to talk about that. Really, we've set ourselves up for a base to work off, and we're working off that base now. And quite excited, the uranium price is really moving, and we're following it.
Well, that sounds extremely exciting. 4 projects in 4 years is good timeline. So I know the company recently announced a positive updated JORC mineral resource estimate. Can you give us some of the highlights on that upgrade?
Yeah, look, we had a 20 million pound resource, and then we come out last month and we 136% increase. That's a hell of an increase. So 48 million pound resource now, right? So it's growing. So we got 3 drill rigs working there flat out, right? So each drill rig, so the drillers go out on a Monday morning with our geos, and they come back into Swakopmund on the coast in Namibia on a Friday night. They leave their rigs and their tents out there. They drill 5 holes per day per rig. Right? So there's 3 rigs working. Do your maths, 15 holes a day, 5 times 15, 75 holes a week. Each hole costs us about $1,000. Right? Each hole is only about 28 meters deep. Right? So really inexpensive drilling, but we're doing a lot of drilling in Namibia. So Koppies. So next Q1 next year, we're looking to announce another update on our resource. Right? So 48 million pound is going to grow. So we now believe it's a project. Right? So next year once we announce a resource update, we want to start moving down the path of increasing our confidence of the resource. So going from an inferred resource to an indicated resource, and also our upgrade beneficiation process we developed lowers the cost base by half or 50% for capital and operating. We want to do a test work program on that to then move towards a pilot plan on that process. So, but the size is important, but one of the highlights of this project is the ore. 50% of the ore is within top 6.5 meters, so 6.5 meters from surface. 95% of the ore is within 15 meters of surface. That's shallow. That is really shallow. So mining is going to be low cost, low strip ratio. So you put low cost, low strip ratio mining combined with our upgrade process, it lowers the cost, and you've got a decent project. So we're really quite excited about where this project is going to go now. But prior to our resource update, it was a resource. Now it's a project, and it's looking very good.
That's really exciting news. So it's completely kind of changed your plans on how you were advancing forward for this, yeah?
Absolutely. Now it's a project we're going to take forward. Right? There's no doubt about that.
Amazing. So I also saw that you recently made a significant investment into Elevate. Can you tell us a bit more about that and strategy and thought behind it?
Yeah, look, I had issued 3.6 million options quite a number about 4 years ago. 612,000 Australian dollars to exercise those, and sat down and thought about it and thought, why wouldn't you? I mean, if you're going to talk the talk, tell the story, you've got to walk the walk. And I've elected to put that. That's a sizable amount of money, I can tell you, coming from my side. I'm not a millionaire, so it's a sizable amount of money. So it was a big decision, but really an easy decision, because look what we're doing as a company. 4 discoveries in the last 4 years. I said to you, we built up this asset base. And our first discovery was Koppies. We've now got 48 million pound, and it's growing. We believe it's going to grow into a project, in the future. We've got the upgrade process to lower the cost base. And what better time to be in uranium? And the commodity is just, sitting at $80 a pound now. We need a higher uranium price to incentivize production. We've got a shortfall in uranium supply. So, I strongly believe in the company, right? And I strongly believe in the uranium sector. So it really come down to an easy decision, but it is a lot of money, and it really, now I'm aligned to shareholders. Shareholders, their wealth comes from increase in the share price, and I'm very much strongly aligned with them now.
Well, that's a really great way to show your confidence in what you guys are doing. So very commendable and awesome choice.
Thank you.
I know that you guys are also obviously working in two big jurisdictions, obviously Australia and Namibia.
Yeah.
But can you tell us a bit more about what it's like working there? I imagine there's some significant differences.
Well, I'm sitting in the desert now, Sarah. This is Namibia where I'm sitting. Look at it in the background. That's the Koppies project, by the way. So, working out there from an environmental point of view, we don't have, nobody's been taken by a lion yet, and there's no trees for a leopard to jump out of. And it's easy to plan a drill program. You go out there, you can drill where you want to drill, right? But at the same time, it's a desert, it's a national park. You respect it. So we rehabilitate every hole. But that aside, Namibia has a strong history of uranium mining. So the Rossing uranium mine was commissioned in 1976, a long time before you were born. 47 years of continuous operating, the longest continuously operating uranium mine in the world. So then there's 2+ generations of Namibians are very, very familiar with uranium mining. So no issues with it. And recently the Langer Heinrich, I think, was developed in about 2007 or 8. HUSAT, I was about to call it Rossing South, that's what it was called when I worked on it 15 years ago. It is now, the HUSAT project has been developed in the last 8 years or so. And then also Koppies project, Orano, the big French company, developed the project. So it's got a history of being able to develop projects. We apply for a license, we get granted a provisional grant for a license. We've got 12 months to get environmental clearance. Once we get environmental clearance, we've got a full license and to explore. So we write a letter to the ministry and say, these are the holes we're going to drill, and we go and drill them. We don't need a response to say, oh, okay, you can drill them. Australia, a little bit different, right? You have your license, you then have to apply for a mine management plan, radiation management plan, get that approved, and then you go and drill. But again, a strong history. The top four, Australia and Namibia, top two of the top 4 producers in the world for uranium. So all got strong history of uranium, of mining. So very, very supportive, and Namibia's got a very supportive government. It's the only country in the world with a dedicated uranium association. So the Namibian Uranium Association, the conduit between explorers like us, developers and producers, and the general public and government, other stakeholders. So they do a great job of assisting us in the industry.
Sounds like some really beneficial jurisdictions to be mining in, especially for uranium.
Well, there's no geopolitical risk that like there is in some, Niger and the Russian, former Soviet Union countries and so forth. There's certainly issues there, but a lot easier to operate in Namibia.
Speaking of uranium and popularity, I want to talk a little bit more about the headlines and all of this popularity that it's been having. How do you see the market outlook for uranium shaping up?
Fantastic. Is that? Oh, you need more than that. Look, it's just. I mean, how exciting is it really? We've got COP28, is it? I'm not sure why it's COP28. We're only in 23, but it's COP28, and they're talking about that all these countries around the world want to increase their nuclear by 3 times by 2050, isn't it? So that's a huge benefit for industry. But so we're really understanding now that we need baseload power. When you go home, in Hong Kong tonight, you want to turn your lights on and they work. You want to charge your phone or whatever you're using, you want it to happen, right? If it doesn't, it's because we've got an unreliable grid. Now, if we're moving down this renewable path, we're finding out Germany, California, renewables don't provide baseload power, right? And people are beginning to understand that. We're also learning that their carbon emissions are greater in generating these solar panels than we ever thought. Whereas, we're looking for carbon-free baseload energy that's there when you need it. That's what nuclear is. So the world is beginning to realise that, and it's really starting to show. There's more countries talking about increasing it, as I say. So it really, to me, it's a fantastic sector to be in. And at the moment, the math is compelling. There is not enough supply of uranium to meet the current demand from the nuclear fleet. And if the nuclear fleet increases like it is, right, we're building 10 a year or whatever in China, India's got 26 operating. The UAE, I think, where the COP28 is, they've all got the largest nuclear reactor in the world. So we need more uranium. How do you incentivize uranium production? The underlying commodity price has to go north. So we think that $100 a pound, well, I think, is an absolute certainty. And, where's it going to go from there to incentivize new production? So we're really quite excited about what new production incentives are there, and that is a high uranium price, and the outlook's just fantastic, I think.
It's true. I did see the COP28 headline, so that's a great point to have made. Do
Mm.
you see public attitude shifting towards uranium in relation to it being a green alternative?
Yeah, look, I think the younger people are starting to accept it and realise that it's not the evil energy source that people previously thought it was. So yeah, the younger generation picking it up. I mean, in Australia, we do have a ban on nuclear power generation. The union super funds are talking about, we should change it, remove the ban. So yeah, look, I think sentiment in Australia is starting to move in a positive direction. Just need the government to wake up. And then, you're seeing around the world. I mean, Sweden have turned their policy around. They were going to shut down their reactors. Now they're increasing their reactors. Several other, Austria, I think, was one. The Germans are still going backwards. Opening up coal mines and shutting down nuclear is just ludicrous. For what reason? So most countries around the world and most people are realising that we want a baseload energy source that's low cost. I mean, if you had a choice between, let's say, Australian dollars, 30 cents a kilowatt hour or 7 or 8 cents a kilowatt hour, what would you do? You'd go for the cheaper one. Yeah, and what is the cheaper one? The cheaper one's nuclear. So I think the world is starting to realise what's happening.
Well, taking it back, full circle here, what can investors expect to see moving towards the end of the year and into 2024 for Elevate as a company?
Yeah, well, gee, the end of the year is nigh, isn't it? It's very close. The sand, I've got to clean the chimney out of the sand because so Sandy can fit down it soon. So yeah, look, we continue to drill. Our team will take a month off in Namibia. So when they come back, sort of 15th of January next year, we'll finish the drilling on the Koppies project to get the next inferred resource update. Those drill rigs will then continue on the path of an update in terms of confidence level from inferred to indicated before we start our test work program and move into that side of it. At the same time, we've got two other discoveries, ELVUF and Koppies. We want to go and drill those out to a resource. But we've also learned a lot from the Koppies expansion that we want to take geologically to Koppies for exploration, to ELVUF for exploration. That's 3 of our tenements of the 12 we've got in Namibia. So you can imagine the news flow coming out of the other rigs going around doing exploration. So we've got, resource update, resource confidence level increase at Koppies, and then we've got Koppies resource drilling, exploration drilling, ELVUF exploration drilling, resource drilling, and other projects as well. We haven't even talked about Australia. So then we've got the Minerva project in Australia. It hasn't been drilled since 1978 when it was discovered. There's 10 holes there with grades in excess of 10,000 ppm. So we want to go and drill that, right? Understand it geologically to work out how to explore it a bit better. Then Angela, we did some seismic work on that late last year, early this year. It's a 31 million pound resource, and it dips at 9 degrees, sandstone hosted. The seismic work identified the lens, but what it also did was identified a lens underneath it. So we want to go and drill that. It's never been drilled. Is it mineralized? Don't know until you drill it. We might come up some stuff this color here. my tyre. Beautiful yellow mineralisation. And the other thing about the upgrade process at Angela, there's a high acid consumption of that. So we did 4 tests in the lab, and we've reduced the acid consumption by 80%. Now, nobody can ever optimize anything with 4 tests. So that's got a lot of optimization work to do. So we think further work on that will lower the acid consumption even further. So quite exciting. And we haven't really talked about a lot of the benefits of upgrade, which are, our patented upgrade process. So, and that'll really come into its own next year as we start doing metallurgical test work on Koppies. So yeah, really a lot of activity within the company, expected a lot of news flow next year. So quite excited about what the year has to come.
Yeah, it sounds like there's a lot to come for Elevate Uranium. So we'll be excited to hear more going into the next year. Thank you so much for taking the time to chat with us about it.
It's a pleasure. And thank you, and enjoy your Christmas and New Year break.
Thank you so much.